so human. My name is Jackie Lane from peachyhealth.co.uk. I empower women to live juicier lives by choosing self-love on all levels. And today I am just going to talk about why I am vegan, because I've had so many people asking me, why have you gone vegan? Why? You're crazy. Why would you do that? How can you live without fish? How can you live without meat or dairy? Or how can you live without all these things? And I just want to say, well, I actually personally can't live with them. And that's why I've stopped, because living with those things makes me feel shit. And I don't want to be part of a industry that tortures and murders animals for our greed. And I don't want to be part of anything that is cruel to animals. And I'm not even going to call myself vegan. I'm just going to say that I am eating consciously and mindfully, because maybe I will eat some dairy sometimes if I know that it's organic and it's come from a local farm where the animals haven't been tortured and bred for mass production, because that's just insanity. It's fucking crazy. And I just want to say that you don't need meat. You don't need meat to thrive. And I've always thought this. Everyone always says, oh, like, well, when we were cavemen, we ate meat, it's natural. But I'm just thinking, well, before we evolved enough to make the tools to be able to hunt, we wouldn't have eaten meat, we would have been fine. And I've always thought, well, we don't have sharp teeth. We don't, well, I know my nails look a bit like claws, but we don't have claws, and our stomach acids are not built to break down meat and metabolize it the same way as, I don't know, a meat-eating animal like a lion or something. And I just want to say that you can get your protein from fruits and vegetables, and you actually absorb a lot more of the protein from these things than you would if you were to eat meat. And that's proven scientifically that you only absorb a certain amount of protein from animal produce, whereas you absorb a lot more from like vegetables. So I really don't believe that you need meat, and I stopped eating meat 3 or 4 years ago, and then I've now stopped eating fish and eggs, and I stopped eating dairy I pretty much stopped eating dairy about a year ago, but I did lapse quite a lot, and now I'm not eating dairy really at all. And I just feel a lot better this way. Since I've decided to be vegan or eating consciously, I found that my meditations are far more intense. I feel more connected. I can see energy a lot more. I can feel energy a lot more. I feel like I am lighter and just feel so much better about myself. I don't have this kind of disgusting heaviness and guilt and negativity that I was having when I was eating fish and eggs and stuff like that. And I mean, I might eat an egg if it is from a local place and I know that the chickens have had a nice life, but I'm not going to eat eggs from supermarkets because it's a load of bullshit. And it just got to the point where it's like, okay, I know this information and I know that these animals are being tortured for our greed, yet I'm still eating them. And I know that it's not that good for me, and I know that I can get my protein elsewhere. So why am I actually still doing this? And yeah, it's not easy when you first change your diet. It's not easy to make a lifestyle change. I don't want to line the pockets of the fuckwits at the top of the food industries, the big corporations that make money out of torturing and killing animals and effectively making us sick. So we then go and buy the pharmaceuticals from our doctors and then watch the media on TV, and like there's this unrealistic ideal of perfection that we're meant to live up to, yet they're feeding us crap and making us think that we want to eat crap, and then we're getting ill and buying their medicine. So to me, that's quite contrived and purposely done. And I don't really want to be part of that. I want to be a free thinker. I want to not contribute to suffering. And then people have said, oh, well, plants suffer and whatnot. But I've spoken to plants to an extent. I've had the privilege of communicating with a couple of plants, and I just know that they are so chilled out. So chilled out and so allowing and forgiving and accepting, and I really don't believe that they feel pain the same way we do. And I just think that they're far more allowing of death. And yeah, I don't feel guilty eating plants. And ideally I would love to be a breatharian, but I have a life to live, and at the moment, to be a breatharian you have to just sit and meditate all day every day, and I don't want to do that. I want my life in society, so that's my desire. So therefore I'm not going to be a breatharian. So I'm going to try and limit the amount of suffering that I cause on this planet as much as I possibly can. And one of the best ways I can do that is to not eat meat and fish or animal produce. So that's what I am doing. And since I have done that, I feel so much better. I have more energy. I feel really good about what I'm eating. I have a better connection when I'm meditating. I can get to higher states of consciousness easier. I feel high a lot of the time. I feel happier. I just feel better about it. And it is mainly on an emotional level that I feel better about it. But generally speaking, it's made me feel better on all levels. So I just wanted to share that with you, because I feel like a lot of people don't know that when you are eating a piece of meat, you're not absorbing that much of the protein. You're actually absorbing a lot more of the protein in vegetables and fruit. And so really it's up to you how you get your protein. I'm not saying everyone else has to stop eating meat, but I do hope that one day we don't torture and kill animals for our consumption, and I hope that people are more aware of what they're eating and have more respect and compassion and empathy and understanding and love for an appreciation for what it is they're actually consuming. Like, don't just go into a supermarket and see a piece of meat and blindly buy it and blindly cook it and blindly eat it without a second thought of what it's been through, where it's come from, and the life that creature has had, and the way that it was killed. To not even say thank you, to not even be conscious of what you're putting in your body, and not even be grateful for the nutrients it's giving you. And I just feel like meat is something that we were not built to eat on a regular basis. We've got the intelligence to be able to hunt, and it's not our physical bodies that enable us to hunt. It's because we were intelligent enough to build tools so that we could hunt, and that's our intellect. Now we're intelligent enough to know that mass production of these animals for our greed is wrong. We're intelligent enough to know that. So it's time that we start putting our intelligence into action. Like, we've evolved enough to realize that torturing and killing animals isn't really a very nice thing. It's just the fact that we're so desensitized to this. Like if we, in the UK, if we see a dog in pain or a cat in pain, then we're all like, oh, poor doggies, poor cats. But we don't care about cows, pigs, chickens, lambs, ducks, pheasant. We don't care about those animals. We just care about the animals that we would have as pets. And I just feel like the food industries and the media, which they work together hand in hand, and the pharmaceutical industries have done a really good job at brainwashing us to be completely desensitized to that kind of thing. And I really feel like it's time that we resensitized and started to be a lot more conscious about what we're eating, why we're eating it, and what it does to us, and where that's come from, and how it's got on your plate. It's not just a case of, oh, it was on the shelf in the supermarket. There was a whole big thing before it got to the shelf, and it's time that we start to be aware of that. And if you can afford it, buy locally, buy things from a local farm, and just don't eat as much meat. You don't need to eat meat every single day. Why not have it 2 or 3 times a week? And then with the money that you save on having it less, buy it from a decent place where it's had a decent life, where you know that it's not been tortured its whole life, which is what happens in mass production. These animals are bred and they are tortured from birth, tortured. And I just feel like, why are you eating that? Why would you want to eat that? You don't need to have meat every single day. There are other ways of getting protein. There are better ways of eating than eating meat all the time. If you're eating meat every single day, I personally don't think it's that healthy for you, because we don't have the physical body to be able to eat that much meat. We weren't built to eat that much meat. So why not just cut down the amount of meat that you're eating, and make sure that you're eating it from a really good, responsible source, not the supermarket. Don't line the pockets of the scumbags that are making money off of torturing and killing animals and effectively making you sick. Wake up. Do something about it. Start making changes. You don't have to carry on doing what you're doing. You can make changes. If you don't eat meat every single day, and you use that money to buy vegetables and to buy more fruit and to buy decent meat for the days of the week you are going to eat meat, then I think you'll find that your health will improve, and you'll have more mental clarity, and you'll feel better in yourself, because a lot of the meat in the supermarket is full of meat glue, it's full of chemicals, it's full of hormones, steroids, medication. That's all within the tissues. It doesn't, they do shit to it to kill the bacteria, but that doesn't kill all the hormones that they pump these poor animals with, and all these medications. That's still in the meat. And specifically dairy is so bad for women. There's so much estrogen within milk and dairy products. There's so much synthetic estrogen. It's no wonder that we all have female reproductive issues, and it's just ridiculous that these people don't even realize that a cow has to be pregnant to produce milk, and you're basically drinking milk from a cow. First of all, that's just crazy in my mind. Like, we are humans. We drink human milk for a certain amount of time, and then we come off it. Like every other creature in the world, they wean off the milk. They don't need any more, because then you can get your vitamin, your calcium from other sources, like your solid food. So personally, eating cow pus and stuff like that really doesn't appeal to me anyway. And the fact that I now know 100% that it's not good for me, because when I went on holiday, I had cheese because there was really not many options without it where I went, and my skin broke out in cystic acne again. And that just goes to show that dairy does affect your hormones. And so and that can have an impact on you in many different ways, not just your skin. It might come out in a different way for you. I know people who eat a lot of dairy that they wake up and they feel like they've got a cold. That's because they're eating dairy, or they've got like skin issues like psoriasis or eczema. It's the dairy. Like, you can't just isolate a symptom and put a cream on it and expect it to go away. You've got to treat the root cause. And if you're eating dairy, which has got loads of acidity in it. Once you're consuming it, basically that is toxic in your body, and you're consuming synthetic hormones, steroids, and other disgusting things. Plus, the cows are fed on shit. They are fed on chicken shit. So you're consuming stress and fear and pain and torture, and plus all the other stuff. So, I mean, the dairy industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they don't want you to realize this. So I'm just letting you know. It's up to you what you do with this information, but I know how I feel about it, and I'm just taking action on my true emotions, and I'm listening to my body, and I'm taking action, because if you don't take action on listen to your body and listen to your true self, then really you'll just be suffering. So that's why I am vegan, or I like to call it conscious eating. And at the moment, I'm not like high carb raw vegan, or high fats and protein raw vegan, or even raw vegan in general. I am just vegan, and I'm just sussing out what works for me. And at the moment, I'm just enjoying this whole new world of food. And people often ask me, well, how do you cope not eating this and not eating that? And I'm like, well, because I eat this and this and this and this, and there's a whole other world of food. When you get into being vegetarian and being vegan, you realise that there's a whole other world out there. It's not just what you see in the supermarkets. That's such a limited view, and it's such a shame that most people, that's all they ever eat. They don't get to see this wonderful world and what it can do for you, and the benefits, the health benefits, the psychological benefits, and the spiritual benefits of eating consciously and mindfully. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I hope that explains it, and I hope that helps everybody. And remember to keep it juicy.